Tyler, the Creator, a rapper and producer known for some of his most recent projects, such as his album Flower Boy or his Grammy-winning project Igor. But Tyler's origins in the rap game goes farther back, all the way to 2009 when he released his first album of a demented and disturbing album trilogy. Tyler, the Creator's first 3 albums create the trilogy known as the Wolf Trilogy. The Wolf Trilogy is made up of the albums Bastard, Goblin, and Wolf. These albums all touch on deep topics and provide mentally disturbing imagery for the listeners. These albums are told through the point of views of Tyler's multiple alter egos, Ace, Wolf Haley, Sam, and more. Bastard and Goblin take place in a therapist's office with Dr. TC, who tries to help Tyler. Tyler struggles with many things such as heartbreak, murderous thoughts, and suicide, as his dad abandoned him at a young age. The Wolf Trilogy by Tyler, the Creator is an important trilogy in music and should be taught in schools to help children with their mental health problems. I personally care about this album trilogy because it expresses the thoughts and feelings that go on in one's head relatively well when they are feeling depressed, and it does a good job of combating the angel with the devil in these situations. Tyler describes his best self, his alter ego Wolf Haley, and who he truly wants to be on the album Wolf, but can never reach that full potential due to his worst version of himself, his alter ego Ace, who combats with Wolf Haley. It puts him in a dead zone where he feels useless, and I can sometimes attest to that. Despite being gruesome, horrid, and unserious on the outside, these albums contain deep meanings on the inside, touching on mental health, homophobia, murder, rape, and suicide, which is why these albums are culturally significant and should be studied. Tyler grew up in Hawthorne, California, where he was raised by his mother as he never got to meet his father. This crushed Tyler as a child, and it got to his mental health quickly. Tyler started making music in 2007 when he was 16 years old and released his first album Bastard 2 years later in 2009. This album was demented and disturbing and sounded nothing like anyone had heard before. Tyler wrote and produced the entire album by himself. The album cover is a mentally disturbing image of some kids with messed up faces covered by a red filter, a perfect representation of the music to come. The album is a constant conversation between Tyler and his therapist Dr. T.C. The crazy subjects of these songs show up early on track 5, Blow, where Tyler writes the track from Ted Bundy's perspective and talks about how he got girls with his charm and then kills them. Track 10 is VCR/Wheels, where Tyler does his thing on a slow and R&B beat. That doesn't mean the song will be nice though. The song uses, quote, VCR imagery for an R. Kelly-style extended double entendre about having strong, rapey feelings for a woman in a surrealist backdrop. What? But Tyler doesn't only write about demented things. He has a serious song that is important to the album just as much as the rest. Track 7 is called Parade and touches on growing up, maturity, and immaturity. Finally, the last track is called Inglorious, which is a deep song about his true feelings about his father leaving him. The whole album is told from the point of view of Ace, who represents the worst version of Tyler. The album was received surprisingly well, and everyone could not wait for the next album. And then in 2011, Tyler dropped Goblin. But first, let's talk about Wolf, because the story makes the most sense in this order. Wolf is an album that was released in 2013, and it's about Tyler's alter ego, Wolf Haley, who represents Tyler's best version of himself. His therapist, Dr. TC, can't stand to hear Tyler anymore, so he sends him away to a camp called Camp Flog Gnaw, where he meets Sam. Sam is the leader of Camp Flog Gnaw and wants nothing to do with Tyler. The whole album is almost a contrast of Bastard, as it is much more upbeat, and Tyler does nothing wrong throughout it. It's more about trying to survive Sam, who's out to get him because Tyler got with his ex. The whole album is a great listen, and eventually Dr. TC finds out about the whole beef between Sam and Tyler and decides he needs to have another meeting with Tyler. That meeting happens in Goblin. Goblin is the second album of the trilogy, but it's the final piece of the puzzle. Track 3, Radicals, contains Tyler saying things like, a great message for the children. On track 4, She, Tyler and Frank Ocean go back and forth talking about stalking and loving a girl. Track 7 is called Tron Cat. Keep that name in mind. But this is the track where he says some of the craziest things you will ever hear on a song.
Victim, honey, you're my 5th one. Honey on that topping when I stuff you in my system. Rape a pregnant bitch, tell my friends I had a threesome.
Yeah. In 3 lines, he just talked about rape cannibalism and dropped a bar at the end of it all.
I'm awesome, and I dolphins.
What?
Some Kanye West glasses screaming out.
This song leaves Dr. TC mentally disturbed and upset, so he changes the subject to the next song, where Tyler reveals how he was heartbroken by a girl. As the album continues, he really starts to open up about all the things that have happened to him and why his mental health is going down the drain. He also kills all his friends at one point, but that's a different story. In the final song, Golden, we get the grand reveal to what the whole story is truly about. In short, the whole trilogy is a representation of a young kid's mental health slowly spiraling into madness, if you haven't guessed that already. Troncat, Dr. TC, Sam, Wolf Haley, Ace, they're all Tyler the Creator. He's all in his head, and the only person who will listen to him and is able to help, Dr. TC, which is him. Troncat is the representation of his devil on his shoulder, telling him everything bad to do. But why is this important? It just sounds like a dark, twisted fantasy. Well, at face value, this could seem like an insensitive album trilogy that touches on two dark and controversial topics that should be put away in an attic and never touched again. However, these albums not only tell a great story, but also can provide great teachings for mental health. These albums show how Tyler had no help with his trauma, and how that trauma insidiously took over his mind, causing him to think demented thoughts no one should ever think. This is why this trilogy should not only stay around and prevalent in the music community, but should be taught in schools. This is the effect of negative mental health on the brain, and the sooner you talk to someone, the sooner you can fix yourself. Many books and stories are used in schools that contain hurtful language and mentally disturbing scenery, and some are unnecessary. However, the topics brought up in these albums add to the story, the moral, and make these albums truly culturally significant. If you are yet to listen to the first 3 albums in Tyler the Creator's discography, do yourself a favor and get to it, not only for your ears' sake, but for your mind's sake.
The blind's wide open so he can see you in the dark when you're sleeping. Naked body, fresh out the shower, and you touch yourself after hours. Ain't no man allowed in your bedroom. You're sleeping alone.